For centuries, the popular view of history has centered on the victors. We assume that human progress requires a dominant force, a conqueror or a state that bends others to its will and builds the future by overpowering the competition. Yet the mechanics of physics suggest a different outcome. If we analyze the flow of information, destroying an opponent doesn't just eliminate a rival, it deletes the specific data required to sustain a complex future. The topic ledger theory treats reality as a computational data structure. It is an immutable, ordered record of every interaction, where existence itself is defined by the history of the ledger. Within this framework, every person, idea, or organization is a topic, a bounded context. These topics do not exist in a vacuum. They only generate progress through direct interaction. These interactions are called collisions. In computational terms, a collision is a negotiation between two contexts to produce a new shared outcome. They are the primary drivers of reality. If the ledger is built block by block through these events, then the mathematical nature of those collisions determines our trajectory. We are either building a resilient, interconnected system or a fragile, isolated one. During a collision, each topic contributes stakes. These are the specific data points, resources, or historical contexts that a participant brings to the debate. To calculate the influence of these inputs, we use the Shapley value. This is a formula from cooperative game theory that determines the exact marginal contribution of a single participant to a group's total outcome. It ensures every voice is mathematically weighed. When diverse stakes are successfully integrated, the system reaches consensus. This produces a valid block, a permanent, unbreakable entry in the ledger that represents a shared reality. Value is not created by silencing an opponent. It is generated by mathematically incorporating the diverse weights of every participant into a single, cohesive agreement. To test the difference between force dominance and collaborative debate, we can look at simulations run in Qiskit. Qiskit is a software framework used to program and simulate quantum circuits. We can model a dictator's approach as the raw 4. This is a reality where a value is simply injected into the system from the outside, with zero history or previous interactions to support it. The left chart maps the raw 4, a single blue spike with zero entropy, completely lacking causal memory. The iterated 4 on the right shows red bars spread across dimensions. This indicates massive entanglement, encoding every past interaction into a high-entropy final state. This 3D density matrix maps the resulting architecture. The friction of the debate has woven the history of the participants into a holographic structure, making the final state inseparable from its past. The math reveals that forced states are thin. Because they lack the entropy generated by debate, these systems are mathematically brittle. They lack the internal complexity required to adapt to new information or survive systemic shocks. This quantum entanglement provides a blueprint for the macro scale. The same principle of interconnected history drives the growth of human civilization and technological progress. We track this through assembly theory. It defines complexity using the assembly index, the minimum number of recursive, unique steps required to build a specific object or consensus. As topics negotiate, they accelerate the assembly index, adding new layers to the tree of human achievement. But if dominance deletes a single node, it permanently removes all its contributed steps, causing entire future branches to immediately collapse. Removing an enemy doesn't protect the ledger. It mathematically impoverishes the species by capping the maximum complexity our civilization can ever reach. Because reality is an immutable ledger, no action exists in isolation. Every event is a permanent link in a chain stretching back to the beginning of history. We can analyze this chain using quantum retrodiction. This mathematical method uses current data to calculate the probabilities of past events, allowing us to see through the noise of history. This tool allows us to identify bad blocks, the moments of war or silenced debate that act as the root causes for modern societal decay. The ledger keeps a perfect record of where the chain began to fail. But if the ledger can track our failures, it also reveals the formula for advancement. It shows us exactly which interactions maximize our collective complexity. Real power does not come from imposing a flat, dominant will. A system that attempts to overwrite the complexity of others eventually fractures under the weight of its own isolation. Under the topic ledger theory, the role of a leader is to orchestrate collisions. They must balance the weights of others and foster the intellectual friction that builds the ledger. Our evolution as a species is a calculation. It depends entirely on our collective willingness to collide, negotiate, and permanently record a future we can only build together.